So this is something I promised quite a while ago, which is to start with the Superman Silver Age dailies. I have the comic or the newspaper strips going from the Golden Age up through the conclusion of the Silver Age, which I believe is the total length of time the Superman comic strip ran. And every one of these stories was adopted from a comic book. So you can see here a lot of these titles are from stories that I've made videos on. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to compare the comic strip to the or the comic book to the comic strip. And the first one I'm going to start with is The Ugly Superman. So let me start by saying The Ugly Superman came out in a comic, was written by Robert Bernstein with art by Kurt Schaffenberger. It was in Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane number 8, published in April 1959. Um, the comic had 9 pages, which averaged just slightly under 6 panels per page for about 96 panels. The dailies, which were adopted from that original story by Robert Bernstein, were the dailies were written by Jerry Siegel with art by Kurt Swan and Stan Kay, and it ran from July 1959 to September 1959. There are 16 pages with almost exactly 9 panels per page, so around 144 panels, which means that the comic strip in the newspaper was approximately 50% longer. And you can kind of feel it in the story, that the story has a bit more depth to it. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to just kind of compare, since I had just released the comic version. Why did Perry White assign me to cover wrestling matches, Clark? I don't know a thing about them. He wants you to handle the women's angle. I can tell you my angle right now. I'm going to be bored. Don't be so sure, Lois. Clark, look, that man is wrestling with Superman. Um, so in the comic book, Clark was not with her. She was there all by herself. It's almost like this is a parallel world. There are a lot of differences. Even though both stories are called The Ugly Superman, there are some tremendous differences between these two stories. Boo, boo. Imagine his nerve. An ugly brute like that wearing Superman's costume. Boo, boo. Why are they booing so loud, Clark? They don't like the ugly Superman. He's the villain of this contest. Uh-oh. Look out, Lois, so he tosses the other wrestler out of the ring. Whew, that was close. You didn't have to push so hard, Clark. You were so anxious to save your own neck, you nearly broke mine. I'm sorry, Lois. If I'd have let that wrestler collide with me, he'd have broken his neck, and Lois would have discovered I'm Superman. Boo! Don't let him get away with it. That monster ought to be barred from wrestling. Why do they hate him so? The poor man's only trying his best. Now, let me start by saying I can't really tell what was the input from Kurt Swan and what was Stan K. But this art, the art in the comic, the strips, is really nice. So I don't know if I'm just going to say Kurt Swan because he probably did the penciling. This is Kurt Swan at some of his best. And it may be that when you're doing one strip a day, you simply have more time to make the images look correct. But it looks really nice. Now, when Kurt Schaffenberger drew Ugly Superman, it was very much a caricature. And I would also say that from the beginning, the Ugly Superman appeared to be freakishly strong, beyond human. Nothing compared to Superman, but his strength seemed to be at an inhuman level. Ugly monster, why don't you look into a mirror and then kill yourself? Boo! The crowd enjoys taunting that ugly Superman. They hate him. It isn't fair. I'm going back to his dressing room and tell him so. You were supposed to lose that match. What got into you, bird? That bird cage you used for a brain. I get mad. Those creeps all wanted me to lose, so I decided to win. My name is Lois Lane, and I'm a reporter. That crowd was very unfair to you, Mr. Ugly Superman. I thought you were wonderful. You did? I don't think she understands the point of pro wrestling. Did you hear what that lady said? From now on, Please, let me be a winner. Maybe I'll even be wrestling champion of the world. Ha, you're just a dumb gorilla. You'd better not talk like that to me. I'm not taking any more insults from anybody, understand? I apologize. You're a wonderful wrestler, strong and skilled, and gosh, Miss Lane, nobody ever talked nice to me before. I know you feel sorry for me because I'm ugly, but I wonder if you'd have dinner with me tomorrow night. I'd be glad to. You're going too far, Lois, agreeing to date that ugly Superman out of pity. You men are always so sure of yourselves. What makes you think it's just pity? Now, in the comic, it was definitely pity. And she really didn't want to go on a date with him. Whereas here she's agreeing. Lois, where are you? Over here, Chief. You thinking of opening a flower shop? It's just a few dozen roses from my date. The ugly Superman, he sometimes is a bit romantic, but a woman likes to be appreciated. Lois is getting serious about this ugly Superman. Something ought to be done, Clark. You may be right, Perry, and Superman may just be the one to do it. There they go, Lois and the ugly Superman. Time to change to Superman and keep an eye on them. He has his arm around her. Why does Lois let him do it? She knows it's against driving regulation. The poor fool is falling madly in love with her. This could lead to trouble, unless Lois is in love with him. So they were supposed to go out to dinner at night, but this is clearly a picnic. So I don't know, maybe this is the second date. It isn't right for me to spy on Lois and her boyfriend. I don't understand what Lois sees in him, but that's her business. She started out feeling sorry for him, but now I wonder if, trouble. A wild bull charging right for Lois. A wild bull! Keep back, Lois. I'll handle this. The fool, he'll be killed. I've got to time this exactly right. And blow the bull off balance just as he grabs the horns. You did it. Not even the real Superman could have done better. You met the charge of the wild bull head on and threw him. That's the most courageous thing I've seen any man do. You were in danger, Lois. I couldn't let anything happen to you. You are wonderful. What have I done? By helping the ugly Superman throw the wild bull, I've made him her hero. It looks like I'm making a super mess of things. So in the comic version, he was really kind of detestable. I mean, he was psychopathic. He literally tried to murder Clark Kent, whereas here he's got more depth to him and clearly has some fine points. That ugly Superman wrestler is a muscle-bound idiot, always wearing that uniform everywhere he goes. I can't understand why Lois likes him. I can. Lois has always been crazy about Superman. She may be attracted to this fellow just because he dresses like Superman. Lois is too smart a girl just to fall for a uniform. Or is she? I wonder. Maybe she's not that smart. You can't walk out now, Lois. You got work to do. I'm doing it, Perry. You assigned me to cover the strongman contest in Metropolis. What about it? Well, my boyfriend is entering in the contest, and he's going to win. I'll have an exclusive for you on that story. So the ugly Superman is entering a strongman contest. That gives me an idea of how to bring Lois to her senses. Lois thinks she's in love with the ugly Superman because he dresses like Superman and is so strong. I'm going to prove to her that she isn't really in love. To do that, I'll have to match the ugly Superman against the real one at the strongman contest. Oh, he's wonderful. He's winning the weightlifting contest, hands down. So in the comic book, ugly Superman was shown lifting 2 tons. So it doesn't show what the weight is there. But again, this ugly Superman seems strong, but a normal human, unlike the comic book version who seemed some kind of physical freak. Oh, he broke solid steel chains just by expanding his chest. Hooray! The winner and the strongest man in the world, my hero. So a little local contest decides who's the strongest in the world. Just a minute, he doesn't deserve the title. I am the strongest man in the world. Huh? An old geezer like you? Don't make me laugh. Where does an old galoot like you come off saying he's the world's strongest man? I'll show you. You won the championship by lifting this weight. I could do it with my fingertips, see? As for the steel chains you broke across your chest, I eat them just like candy. It's impossible. You're a magician. Nobody could pull off these strongman stunts without magic. You made me look like a phony. Will you admit you're not the strongest man in the world? I'll prove I'm stronger than you. Don't kill him. I broke it, and you're not even hurt. Something mighty suspicious about that old man. So again, he does seem to be trying to resort to murder. Only one person in the world could have performed the stunts you did. My guess is that you're Superman. I came here to prove that your boyfriend isn't a real Superman at all, Lois. You shown me up as a phony, all right. No, he didn't. You weren't a phony. He's just not as strong as Superman. I'm no match for Superman, so now I guess you don't want to see me again. Wait a minute. Not everyone can be Superman. But you come as close as anyone, and that's more than enough for me. You mean it? Of course I mean it. And just to prove it, smack. Gah. Lois seems to have fallen for the ugly Superman harder than ever. Now, in the strength contest in the comic book, it was in the back room at a wrestling show. So it wasn't an actual contest. The wrestlers were just showing off their strength. Also, Lois was not the one that revealed Superman. The ugly Superman revealed that the old man was actually Superman. Superman tried to win Lois away from that wrestler, and he failed. What can we do? Perhaps we've been going about this the wrong way, Perry. All wrong, Perry. We're all convinced that the ugly Superman wrestler is the wrong type for Lois. But in trying to prove it to Lois, we've just driven them closer together. So what do you suggest, Clark? Leave them alone? Why not? Lois is too sensible to stay in love with a brute like that for very long. If we let her find out what kind of man he really is, she'll come to her senses. And we'll see in the next video if she comes to her senses.